Now, we actually know very little about the biographical context against which the sonnets were written. Great scholars have been debating for centuries who and what spurred Shakespeare to write some of his most famous compositions. And it is very tempting to imagine a young poet shut up in a garret somewhere, freshly arrived from Stratford, wanting to seek his fortune further than at home, where small experience grows, and falling in love with a mysterious lady. Or even a man. A woman's face with nature's own hand painted, as thou, the master mistress of my passion. A woman's gentle heart, but not acquainted with shifting change, as is a false woman's fashion. An eye more bright than theirs, less false in rolling, gilding the object whereupon it gazeth. A man in hue, all hues in his controlling, much steals men's eyes, and women's souls amazeth. And for a woman were thou first created, till nature, as she wrought thee, fell a-doting, and by addition me of thee defeated, by adding one thing to my purpose, nothing. But since she pricked thee out for women's pleasure, mine be thy love, and thy love's use their treasure. Now, this is a pretty baffling and fascinating piece. It deals with the ever-shifting power dynamics between men and women. Women are described as gentle, bright, but also false, la donna immobile, remember? What is really striking, however, is the ending. Are we men really just made out for women's pleasure? If this is the case, well, men are made for the pleasure of women, and not vice versa. A pretty groundbreaking idea for the 16th century. Are men made to please women? Are women just incomplete versions of men? Or can man only be truly complete by getting in touch with his feminine side? Or, what do you think? It's difficult to tell, of course. There is plenty of resentment here, but also self-effacing irony. If it wasn't for your penis, Shakespeare says, we would get on so well together. It is almost as if he was writing a kind of warped love poem to a friend or a possible lover. Oh well, you might as well use yours, the poet seems to say, in a nutshell, or we can go well beyond the sexual puns. I think this is really interesting because it challenges what these days we would call sexual politics. It engages with the differences between gender and sexuality, acknowledging fluidity, confusion, and the baffling nature of sexual desire. But think about the tone of this sonnet. It is seductive and shows a familiarity which only very close friends can entertain. Its playfulness makes it all the more sexy. We are light years away from Dante's formalized declaration of love for Beatrice, whom he sees as a creature only really fit for paradise, or Petrarch's Laura, a woman who is all spirit and no flesh. Shakespeare rubs our nose once again into our common humanity, just like Chaucer does in the Canterbury Tales. He's not put off by the smells and the imperfections inherent in being alive. In fact, he revels in them. The actor-poet has a real taste for the stuff of life.